counterattack, calling Clinton a union buster. Administration officials said they would push for UN sanctions against Libya after Muammar Gaddafi backed away from an offer to surrender 2 suspects in the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. Good night, Jim.
Good night, Robin. We'll see you tomorrow night with a defense conversation with policy analyst Richard Barnett, among other things. I'm Jim Lara. Thank you and good night.
Funding for the McNeil Lehrer News Hour has been provided by PepsiCo. PepsiCo. Part of helping the world live and communicate better is keeping it well informed. That's why funding for the News Hour is also provided by AT&T. And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you.
The health of the American family is the subject of Bill Moyer's Families First, next at 8, here on OPB.
And much more. Buy now, pay in July on selected home store purchases.
Don't miss these values. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. The 15-hour sale at Meyer & Frank.
It's our annual spring sale at Beaverton Honda Power Equipment. I'm Bob Lampier. Right now you can buy any Honda Mower, Killer, or Rider with no money down, no interest, and no payment until October. See the Honda convertible mower that goes from bagging to mulching easily. Or riding first class on a Honda. Nothing's easier. We have excellent financing available and gladly accept trade-ins. And Beaverton Honda in downtown Beaverton.
How did Robin Williams kick his drug habit? Watch Inside Edition.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with rape, which in a year of celebrated cases has made the headlines with increasing regularity. The former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson was sentenced to prison today for raping a 19-year-old beauty queen. Mr. Tyson was given 6 years, beginning immediately, which will put him back into the same prison culture where he was discovered as a young fighter 12 years ago. ABC's Armin Katayan is in Indianapolis.
As Tyson walked into court, dozens of supporters shouted encouragement. Inside, Tyson spoke for 12 minutes. He apologized for what he called the situation, but said he never intended to rape anyone. I'm not guilty of this crime, he said. I got carried away with a situation that got out of hand. I didn't hurt anyone. There were no black eyes, no broken ribs. I'm here to expect the worst, he said, but I don't know if I can deal with it. When Tyson finished, Judge Patricia Gifford told him there was a risk he would rape someone else, that he did not grasp the severity of the crime. I think something needs to be done with the attitude you displayed here. Then came the sentence, 10 years with 4 years suspended and a $30,000 fine. Tyson also faces 4 years of probation and community service. Tyson was immediately led away, frisked and fingerprinted, then taken into custody by sheriff's deputies. Prosecutors said the judge's sentence was fair and compassionate.
What she has done is fashioned a sentence that on the one hand says, we are not going to treat you differently because you're a celebrity, but by the same token, we do think you have the capacity for rehabilitation, the capacity to be a role model in the future.
After the sentencing, the first call the prosecutors made was to Tyson's victim, 19-year-old Desiree Washington. She was described as saddened by Tyson's refusal to admit that he had committed a crime. While his attorneys appealed, Tyson will be serving time in a plain cell like this one. As for rehabilitation, the judge questioned whether prison counseling will be enough. But she said it's the only thing we have to offer. Armin Katayan, ABC News, Indianapolis.
The number of rapes reported to the police is rising at a faster rate than other violent crimes in general. Tyson's lawyer said today this was a case which cried out for rehabilitation, a subject very much in the minds of those people who study the often very complex reasons why men rape in the first place. A man convicted of rape may get some therapy in prison. There is some offered in many institutions. But the quality of help is very uneven, and unless the rapist submits to a long-term program of rehabilitation, the record shows that large numbers of rapists will rape again. Vermont is an example of where there's a program better than most. To indicate his desire to change, a rapist here must volunteer for therapy, and it must be very intense to have any chance of working.
You and this good-looking woman are up at your apartment late at night.
Here in Vermont, therapists try, using audio tapes and pictures, to determine what it is that actually stimulates the rapist to the point of becoming abusive. The rapists are given evidence of the pain and horror they have caused their victims. Many of them say they never even considered that. What a rapist can learn in prison is to recognize the warning signs in himself. The record shows that only a man truly motivated to change has a chance of changing. Men who go through this highly regarded program are half as likely to rape again once they get out. It's been said repeatedly throughout this episode of Tyson that any number of Mr. Tyson's friends saw what was happening to him but did nothing to help. So what can he expect now? Indiana has 13,000 inmates in its prison system. 700 of them are sex offenders. There is no specialized in-prison treatment program. In a moment, some of the other news. The Pentagon's plans to get rid of 140,000 National Guard and reservists. On the American agenda tonight, the heart drugs that work, but that not enough patients receive. And is it farewell to Kentucky's premier horse farm?
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Fleischmann's Margarine.
Fleischmann's Margarine asks, what is good? Oh, that's good. Real good. And that's very good. Fleischmann's, of course, that's good. And will you look at that? Oh, there you go. That's better than good. Oh, boy. Fleischmann's Margarine. Have you been good to yourself today? That's good. Fleischmann, be good to yourself.
Hey, check it out. Check it out. It's starting to snow.
Besides a powerful V6 engine and a gripping new suspension, the Isuzu Trooper has been thoughtfully redesigned.
Let me see that hand.
To include a tiny little knob.
We're four-wheeling now, buddy.
To make everything right in the world again.
In Washington today, you could feel the tension rising between the Congress and the Pentagon. The Defense Secretary Dick Cheney sent Congress a list of more than 800 units of the reserves of the National Guard that he wants to eliminate. 140,000 men and women. Here's ABC's Bob Zelnick.
Most of the proposed cuts involve the Army Guard and reserves. 80% of the units had been designated for defending Europe against the Soviets. But the plan must be approved by Congress, and it faces even fiercer opposition than base closings. With the reserves, those being cut are all local citizens.
By closing over 800 armories around the country, you're certainly not helping us get out of the recession.
The only reason we exist is to be prepared to fight and win wars. We're not a social welfare agency. We're not an employment agency.
There's a more serious military issue here. The Pentagon and Congress agree the overall size of the military must be reduced. But compared to Congress, the Pentagon wants to get rid of more reserve units while saving active duty forces.
It will take about a year to bring one of those Guard divisions up to any reasonable level of combat readiness to put against a force the kind of which we were facing in Operation Desert Storm.
But members of Congress see reserves as support troops who can provide the same level of readiness as active duty forces at a fraction of the cost.
One of the lessons of the war was that the National Guard units performed superbly, and they enabled us to mobilize very quickly.
The proposed cuts hit most heavily at the northeastern states, where predominantly Democratic congressional delegations have been calling loudly for deeper military cuts. Cheney denied the Pentagon is using the occasion to settle political scores. Bob Zelnick, ABC News at the Pentagon.
In other news today, the Rockwell International Corporation got an expensive lesson in environmental law. Rockwell agreed to pay a fine of $18.5 million as part of a plea bargain agreement for violations at the Rocky Flats nuclear weapons plant in Colorado. Here's ABC's Tom Foreman.
Rockwell's representative hurried away from court after admitting his company illegally stored hazardous waste at Rocky Flats. The company pled guilty to 10 counts of keeping radioactive waste in nothing more than cardboard boxes. and running contaminated water into public streams.
Nuclear weapons production was the paramount priority, and environmental compliance was resisted or ignored.
Under the plea bargain, Rockwell will no longer face more serious allegations of burning and dumping hazardous waste.
Rockwell has agreed to take these 10 technical charges to get Rocky Flats behind us.
The Department of Energy oversaw Rockwell's operation, but is immune from prosecution. So Rockwell alone faces the largest hazardous waste penalty in history. Tom Foreman, ABC News, Denver.
In political news today, the Justice Department confirms that House Speaker Thomas Foley's strong denials that his wife is the target of a criminal investigation are valid. Yesterday, Heather Foley testified before a grand jury investigating embezzlement at the House Post Office and possible attempts to cover it up. ABC's Cokie Roberts reports that many members of the House are saying that Mr. Foley must take responsibility for the scandals at the House and the Post Office and the House Bank, and they question whether he should stay on as the Speaker. President Bush went to the hospital today for his annual physical. Afterwards, he told reporters he was in perfect health, and his doctors agreed that his health is excellent. The Bush administration released a series of public service announcements today designed to heighten awareness about AIDS among women and in rural America. AIDS activists say the commercials never mention using condoms or even use the word sex, and they call the campaign useless. Further on the subject of education, we were told again today the U.S. is not doing a very good job teaching science. The Education Department's national report card said neither the schools nor their students are paying enough attention to science. Here's ABC's Jim Slade.
Science is still not a priority subject in most American schools. The results are painfully clear.
Only 58% of high school seniors knew that an increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide from burning fossil fuels could lead to an increase in the greenhouse effect.
The Department of Education's review criticized teachers who rely on textbook lectures almost to the exclusion of hands-on experimentation. 1/4 of the seniors interviewed said they never did experiments, and nearly 60% said they never worked on science projects that took a week to finish. On the other hand, only half the teachers felt they were furnished adequate facilities to do laboratory science. In fact, the report says in many school systems, laboratory science courses are not offered, and where they are often not required. Jim Slade, ABC News, Washington.
There was another warning today that when it comes to the health of children, the U.S. is slipping further behind other developed countries. A bipartisan national commission says that in virtually every category, from infant deaths to prenatal health care to childhood immunization, other countries are improving much faster than this one. From Florida tonight, a report on one of those court cases which confront parents, doctors, and the legal system with seemingly impossible choices. It involves a child born with a severe and life-threatening birth defect, and what should be done next. Here's ABC's Mark Potter.
Teresa Ann was born 6 days ago without a brain, but her brain stem is enough to keep her heart beating. She still breathes on her own. Doctors say she cannot live much longer, and her family wants to donate her organs now, before they deteriorate.
She has a healthy heart, a healthy liver, and a beautiful set of eyes, and it should not just go to waste.
But taking the organs now would mean killing the child. The law in Florida and other states says that as long as there is enough brainstem activity to regulate breathing and heartbeat, the child is technically alive. But doctors fear if they wait, the organs will be damaged. Specialists say the law was not written for cases like this.
It's going to be very tough to change public policy in this country to permit these children to be used in the way that their parents wish.
This afternoon, Teresa Ann's parents asked a Fort Lauderdale judge to rule their child brain dead. After a brief hearing, the judge refused.
Death is a fact. It's not an opinion. And I can't authorize someone to take your baby's life, however short, however unsatisfactory.
The judge said she could not allow the taking of one life, even if it was meant to extend the lives of several others. Mark Potter, ABC News, Fort Lauderdale.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Know where I am?
one of the finest resorts in the world. And if you're looking for a great vacation value, look no more. All your daytime fun, all your nighttime entertainment, and all your food is included in one low price. But what makes this resort really great is that it takes you to some of the world's other great vacation spots.
In the morning, in the evening, Carnival's got the fun.
Fun. That's what makes Carnival the most popular cruise line in the world.
Every sports sedan is supposed to do well in the fast lane. But what about these lanes? At Lexus, we've achieved extremely tight tolerances between all major body panels. So not only does the ES300 look like it's put together well, it actually is put together well.
Your breakfast, sir. This new Kellogg's Frosted Bran is quite sensible. Crispy flakes with whole wheat and bran, slightly frosted for a taste that's delicious. I love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. And new Kellogg's Frosted Bran has less sugar than you'd imagine, but the taste, it's out of...
We've got to stop serving this. New Kellogg's Frosted Bran, wildly delicious, sensibly good.
Some of the overseas news now. At the World Court in The Hague today, Libya versus the U.S. and Britain. Libya wants the International Court to rule that Libya does not have to hand over the two main suspects in the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. Whatever the court rules, it's not binding. The UN Security Council is already circulating a resolution calling for economic sanctions against Libya if the Libyans refuse to cooperate. From South Africa today, another illustration of why it is not time to celebrate. Remember the headline last week? South Africa's whites vote yes on sharing power with South Africa's black majority. Talking about reform and making it happen are quite different. ABC's Don Kladstrup is in Alexandra Township outside Johannesburg.
It was supposed to be a march against violence, but it provoked the very thing it was designed to prevent. The violence began when Alexandra residents defied a court order forbidding the march, ignoring pleas to disperse.
Comrades, wait!
When crowds began throwing rocks, police responded with tear gas and rubber bullets. It has been this way for nearly a month. About 400 people have been killed in spite of a national peace accord aimed at ending the violence.
I don't think people on the ground, on the grassroots levels, understand the peace accord yet.
In the 6 months since the country's political leaders signed the peace accord, nearly 1,200 people have died, the result of faction fighting, battles for political turf, private grudges that erupt into bloody cycles of revenge, counter-revenge. In Alexandra, much of the violence has been fueled by tribal rivalries between Xhosas, township residents loyal to Nelson Mandela, and Zulus, loyal to Inkatha leader Gacha Buthelezi. Until the violence is ended, President de Klerk has warned the country's black leaders further political reforms will be impossible. Don Kladstrup, ABC News, in Alexandra Township.
Back home again in economic news, the government has revised downward its estimate of how well the economy was doing in the fourth quarter of last year. The gross domestic product, which is the total amount of goods and services produced inside the United States, was up only 0.4%. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials gained a bit over 8 points to close at 3267, and the trading was moderate. One other note about the stock market today, the brokerage firm of Salomon Brothers says one of its clerks made a mistake at the computer yesterday. The clerk punched the wrong key and accidentally sold 11 million shares of stock, which sent the market down about 15 points in a matter of minutes. Salomon will have to buy all the stock back again. In a moment, the American Agenda.
Stefanis, it's our last chance. Color Tile's biggest sale of the year has been extended.
Wow, save up to 67%.
BASF carpet, $12.99 installed, half price.
Vinyl tile, 44 cents.
Ceramic tile, 59 cents, both half price.
Mini blinds, buy one, get three free.
Don't miss out.
Vinyl floors, half price.
Ceramic tile, half price.
Mini blinds, buy one, get three free.
Color carpets, half price.
Color Tile's biggest sale of the year.
Last 4 days.
Sale ends Monday.
Where do you want to be in 10 years?
Detroit to Minneapolis, Minneapolis to Detroit. That's not why I became a pilot.
I'll tell you the run I want. St. Thomas to Sable Island. My own Grumman Mallard.
Call it Dave's Airway.
That's what I want for my investment. Now, how do we do it?
You can get there from here with Shearson Lehman Brothers.
This plant didn't have to die. Just a few cents worth of Miracid could have saved it. When azaleas and other evergreens turn sickly yellow, they need more than just fertilizer. They need Miracid. You see, ordinary fertilizers just feed, but Miracid feeds, ironizes, acidifies, helps restore vigor and beauty. And with Miracid in your Miracle-Gro feeder, you can keep azalea and other evergreens beautiful year-round. It's so easy. Just drop in and spray on. So fast, you'll treat all your plants in minutes.
Dogs don't have a lot in common with cats. Even their nutritional needs are different, but they both love chicken.
That's why Purina One developed a separate dog formula and cat formula that both use chicken. Chicken, together with other high-quality ingredients, helps provide ideal nutrition and a naturally good taste that dogs and cats both love. So now dogs do have something in common with cats.
Purina One, second to none.
We have put heart attacks on the American agenda tonight. Once in a while, a drug comes along that is unusually effective in treating a particular ailment, which is why the case of the clotbusters is so puzzling. When we first reported on these drugs for dissolving blood clots last year, they were already considered an important drug for treating heart attack victims, but few American doctors were using them. We've come back to the subject because of a major court case this week that may finally convince many more doctors in the U.S. to take a closer look. Our medical editor is Tim Johnson.
Tens of thousands of heart attack victims have been saved from death and disability by clotbusters, drugs that break up the clots that cause heart attacks. But despite overwhelming evidence that clotbusters save lives, not enough American patients are getting them. By way of comparison, in Europe, 60% of heart attack patients get clotbusters. In the U.S., less than 30% receive the treatment. Why? Many experts cite different American guidelines for use and a greater fear of malpractice if complications occur. The human cost of this underuse is staggering.
The more widespread use of clotbuster drugs in the United States could avoid about 5,000 deaths each year.
They didn't think that she was going to make it through the night.
The tragic case of 49-year-old Sonia Williams may help convince American doctors to increase their use of clotbusters. In August 1989, Mrs. Williams came to Humana Hospital in North Miami Beach, Florida, during a heart attack. Her husband says he asked several times if she could be given a clotbuster, but according to court testimony, she was not given the drug. 7 days later, Mrs. Williams suffered a stroke as a complication of her heart attack. She has difficulty walking and is unable to speak.
They knew that there was a medicine out there that could help her, and it wasn't given to her.
This week, Mrs. Williams won a multi-million-dollar out-of-court settlement. Cardiologist Joel Gore, an expert witness in the case, says the message to doctors is clear.
Clot-dissolving agents are the standard of care for all heart attack patients. The failure to use these clot-dissolving agents may make the physician liable for malpractice.
There's another issue. When American doctors do use clotbusters, most of them still choose the most expensive one, even though studies to date show it is no better at actually saving lives than another drug which is much less expensive. In the United States, the most commonly used clotbuster is TPA, which costs $2,200 a dose. In Europe, the favorite is streptokinase, which costs around $300 a dose.
TPA?
Originally, American doctors said the higher cost of TPA was justified because they thought it was the best drug. But a year ago, Oxford researchers reported on the results of an international study of 41,000 patients in 20 countries, which compared TPA, streptokinase, and a third clotbuster. The study found streptokinase was just as effective at saving lives as the more expensive TPA. Some American doctors are turning to the cheaper drug. For example, at North Memorial Medical Center in Minneapolis, cardiologists usually use streptokinase because of the cost issue.
$2,000 a dose difference for the same end result is not something to sneeze at. If we don't take care of things, the system will be bankrupt.
Take another deep breath in, sir.
So far, the government and private insurance companies have taken a hands-off attitude toward the clotbuster debate, choosing to let doctors decide. A new American study is now underway to challenge the evidence that the cheaper drug is as good. In the meantime, American cardiologists are likely to face growing pressure to both increase their use of clotbusters and consider using ones that are less costly than TPA. Dr. Timothy Johnson, ABC News.
The American Agenda. In a moment, memories and bluegrass for sale.
The real problem with heartburn isn't putting it out, it's keeping it out. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. It doesn't just stop the burning, it actually helps keep it from coming back. New Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. It could start in your office, in your home, over lunch. But now, wherever heartburn starts, this is where it ends. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. No ordinary antacid works like this one to put out heartburn.
In 1984, there was only one company in the world that made a minivan. Since then, 6 companies have followed. However, if you want one that offers anti-lock brakes, all-wheel drive, a driver's airbag, and a built-in child seat, there's only one company you can turn to.
We're ready.
The company that invented the minivan in the first place, Chrysler. In this business, you lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Easter is coming, and Burlington's having its sensational kids' clothing sale.
These pretty spring dresses are reduced 1/3 to 1/2 off Burlington's original low prices.
And these good-looking boys' suits are sale priced at $39.75, even less for little boys. And these zip-line raincoats are also marked down to only $39.75. These days, when saving money is so important, Burlington Coat Factory is really the place to shop. But shop now. The kids' clothing sale at Burlington is a sellout every year.
Derek Humphrey wrote the book on suicide. He and his wife helped her parents make their final exit. Then he used it against her, and Primetime's got the tape. Plus, you've seen him on the campaign trail. But wait till you see Jerry Brown with Sam Donaldson. Primetime, tonight.
Finally from us this evening, Calumet Farms. Anybody who's ever watched much horse racing probably knows that Calumet Farms are synonymous with some of the fastest horses which ever ran. But not very long ago, the most famous breeding farm in American horse racing went broke. At an auction today, everything from the farm and the barns to the Derby trophies went on the block. ABC's Al Dale is in Kentucky.
For more than 60 years, there has never been a place to rival Calumet Farm in the breeding of horses and the development of champions. The trademark white fences, miles of them, and rolling hills were home to some of the greatest names in horse racing, especially in the Kentucky Derby. In 1948, the great Citation became the first stallion to win $1 million for Calumet. Over the years, 8 Derby winners wore the Calumet red and blue, including last year's winner, Strike the Gold. No other stable came close.
Strike the Gold wins the Derby by a length and a half.
But that was not enough to save the farm after a decade of bad management and speculation that drove up the cost of thoroughbreds. For several years, the farm survived on the performance of Aladar, a fierce competitor who brought in $20 million a year in stud fees. When Aladar shattered a leg and had to be destroyed in 1990, it was the final blow. Calumet declared bankruptcy, dismissed most of its employees, and sold off the remaining horses.
It's a sad thing to see the farm in the shape it's in and coming to a close. It certainly is.
Herschel Lathery, who came to work here 44 years ago, stayed on to look after the property, including the cemetery where many champions lie buried.
Citation won the Triple Crown the year I started working for the farm, and he was just a great horse. I loved him.
Today, on a gloomy, misty morning, Calumet Farm went on the auction block. Some came to pick up mementos, others just to say goodbye.
I can't believe this is happening, and if it has to happen, I want to be here.
I've lived here all my life, and just to drive into Lexington and see the white fences and the beautiful buildings, and, well, it's just like the royalty of Kentucky.
And there were royal gems to be had, the van that carried Citation, scores of trophies and paintings, and, of course, the farm itself.
at $10 million.
The bidding for the main farm and buildings went up to $17 million.
Sold the farm for $17 million.
When it ended, there was relief. The new owner is a longtime horse breeder who brought a promise of rebirth along with his check.
And I assure you that no grasp will be changed. It will remain in perpetuity as it is.
It was a promise they all...
So join us Friday night at 9 right here on OPB.
Pat Buchanan has attacked the GOP from the right.
The president says government is too big and costs too much.
How serious a threat is he to George Bush's presidential campaign?
He failed to mention that he's presided over the greatest explosion in government spending and taxation in history.
In a special one-hour interview, David Frost talks with Pat Buchanan about his views on the issues facing America this election year. Friday night, don't miss Pat Buchanan talking with David Frost.